Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. I caught my fiancé in bed with my best friend. "What are you going to do?" "Cry," he mocked. I just smiled and left. The next morning, my phone lit up with missed calls from both of them. My name is Ariel. I am 34, and until that night, I was engaged to Derek. We had been together 3 years, engaged for 6 months, heading toward a beautiful autumn ceremony at a vineyard in Virginia. My best friend, my maid of honor, was Naomi. We had known each other since we were awkward 16-year-olds in a crowded high school cafeteria. And for 15 years, she had been the sister I did not have. I never imagined she would be the one to shatter the life I had so carefully built. Looking back, there were signs. Tiny red flags I smoothed flat with logic and love. About 4 months before everything exploded, Derek went on a serious health kick, determined to be in perfect shape for the wedding. He hired Naomi as his personal trainer. She had recently earned her certification and was building a client list. It seemed perfect, my favorite people helping each other. I cheered them on, telling myself I was lucky. Soon, Derek started coming home late, citing client meetings that ran long. Then it became late training sessions with Naomi. "She is really pushing me, babe. I am going to look incredible in that tux," he would say, flexing in the mirror. His phone lived face down on counters and coffee tables, and if I walked into the room while he was typing, he would lock the screen with reflexive speed. When I asked who he was texting so late, he turned it around on me, accusing me of being controlling, blaming wedding stress. I apologized for what my gut already knew. A month before it all came apart, the 3 of us had dinner at our favorite Italian spot in Richmond. Derek put his arm around me and told Naomi, "I am the luckiest man, marrying the most amazing woman, and I have the best friend anyone could ask for." He looked at me during the first part, then held Naomi's eyes a fraction too long during the second. The twist in my stomach was sharp and cold, but I sipped my wine and told myself not to be ridiculous. The week it happened, I was scheduled for a 2-day work conference in Baltimore. I hated those events, but I was up for a promotion and wanted to make a strong impression. Derek helped me pack. Naomi texted me a cheerful "good luck. Wish I could be there to cheer you on." I believed both of them. The first day was a blur of lukewarm coffee and endless slides. I called Derek from the quiet hotel room. He said he was home watching a game and missing me. The keynote for day 2 canceled because of a family emergency, and the whole conference wrapped by noon. My manager, Mr. Caldwell, told us to head home early. I felt giddy, an unexpected day and a half with Derek. I drove, playlist blasting, happy. 30 minutes from home, I stopped at a specialty market we loved and bought a bottle of his favorite Cabernet, prosciutto, a wedge of brie, fancy crackers. The makings of a cozy night. As I checked out, a text landed. "Sleep well, my love. Miss you like crazy." I smiled and lied in return. "Miss you more. Can't wait to be home tomorrow," savoring the surprise. I pulled onto our quiet, tree-lined street just after 10. The house lights were on. My heart lifted. Then I saw it, parked 2 houses down beneath a heavy oak, almost hidden, Naomi's cherry red Mustang. Confusion, not suspicion, was my first reaction. Maybe she needed help. Maybe her car had trouble. My brain worked furiously to create anything but the obvious truth. I unlocked the front door quietly, heels off, groceries on the counter. "Derek," I called softly. No answer. A sound from upstairs, low voices, a soft laugh, a laugh I knew better than my own. Naomi's. The cold inside me spread. I walked up the stairs, the runner swallowing my steps, my heartbeat thunderous in my ears. The bedroom door was ajar. Their voices were clearer. Then the rhythmic creak of our bed, the one we bought together, where we planned our future. I pushed the door open. They were tangled in our white sheets, skin against skin in lamplight that stretched shadows into obscene shapes. They stared at me. Naomi's eyes went wide, her mouth a perfect O before she clawed at the sheet. Derek's shock hardened into something smug. He sat up, wrapped the sheet around his waist, and met my eyes like a challenge. "What are you going to do?" he sneered. "Cry." Something inside me became very still. I did not cry. I did not scream. I took out my phone. The flash burst, once, twice, 3 times before they could react. "Ariel." They lunged for the sheet. My hands did not shake. I looked at them one last time, their faces twisting between panic and fury. "Thank you," I said evenly. Thank you for making this so easy. I turned and walked out. He was shouting before I reached the stairs. That is it. You're just going to walk away? Ariel, get back here. I stopped at the front door without turning around. No, I said into the hush of the foyer. I am just getting started. I slipped on my shoes, took my purse, and left the suitcase and expensive groceries behind. I did not look back. I drove to a roadside motel off Interstate 64, the kind with a flickering neon sign and carpets that had seen better decades. I paid cash, set the chain in deadbolt, and sat on the scratchy bedspread. The room smelled like old smoke and bleach. I stared at the ceiling, headlights creeping gold across popcorn texture. I felt nothing but a vibrating, hollow rage. Around 3 a.m, my phone started buzzing. Calls and texts began to stack. By dawn, it was a flood. Dozens of calls from Derek, more from Naomi. The messages were a parade of desperation and manipulation. Ariel, please call me, from Naomi. It was a horrible mistake. I love you. Do not throw away our friendship. Babe, where are you? From Derek. Please do not do anything crazy. I can explain. It was not what it looked like. Please do not tell Lawrence, from Naomi, her husband. You will ruin my life. Then at 7, Derek's tone turned. You better not ruin my life over this. I swear you will regret it. The audacity made me laugh without humor. I did not respond. Instead, I called my bank. A woman named Brenda answered with warm, efficient calm. I told her I needed to separate joint accounts immediately due to irreconcilable differences. I moved my half of the savings, money I had earned, plus a small inheritance from my grandmother, into a private account. I froze the joint credit card and removed Derek as an authorized user on anything with my name. Brenda never sounded surprised. We will take care of this, she said. You take care of yourself. Next, I composed a single email to the venue, the caterer, the photographer, the florist. Subject: wedding cancellation, Ariel and Derek. Body: due to unforeseen circumstances, the wedding scheduled for October 12th is canceled. Please consider this email formal notice. The deposits were losses I could live with. Then I changed passwords on everything: utilities, streaming services, shopping accounts. With each reset, it felt as if a layer of my old life peeled away. The voicemails kept coming. One of Derek's was a practice sob. Ariel, I love you. I made the biggest mistake of my life. Please talk to me. I deleted it and blocked both of their numbers. The silence that followed felt like air after a storm, clean and absolute. The rage remained, but it began to burn with purpose. A month earlier, I had stumbled across Derek's messages while searching our shared tablet for a tax document. He had forgotten to log out of Messenger. My hands shook as I scrolled through months of messages between him and Naomi, gym sessions, that were not careful planning around my schedule, jokes at my expense, payments for training from our joint card. I had taken screenshots of everything and saved them to a password-protected folder in the cloud. Paranoid, maybe. Necessary, absolutely. Around noon, someone knocked hard on the motel door. Ariel, I know you are in there. I saw your car. Open the door. Derek's voice. I looked through the peephole. He stood there with his hair wild and his face strained. Naomi hovered behind him, her tear-swollen eyes on the floor. They were a picture of ruin. I felt nothing. He banged the door again. Do not be childish. We need to talk. I backed away, silent. They left after 5 minutes, shoulders slumped. It was time to go somewhere they could not find me. I drove to my older sister Morgan's house an hour away. Morgan is a divorce attorney with a sharp mind and a backbone forged of steel. She had never fully trusted Derek. She always said he was too polished. When I called and asked to stay for a few days, she did not hesitate. Of course. She opened her door and wrapped me in a hug that gathered every broken piece and held them together. In her calm, orderly home, I sat on the couch and finally sobbed until my chest ached. That night, over a bottle of red wine at Morgan's kitchen table, I showed her the screenshots. I watched her face harden. They wrote their own downfall, she said, her voice cool and professional with a tremor of fury underneath. From a legal standpoint, this is gold. By the next day, Derek and Naomi tried a new tactic, triangulation through mutual friends. He is really worried about you, one friend texted. There was a misunderstanding. Another wrote, Naomi is a mess. She wants to apologize. They were working hard to control the narrative, to paint me as a woman who overreacted. I decided it was time for truth to find the person who deserved it most, Naomi's husband, Lawrence. Lawrence is a quiet, kind architect who adored his wife. He had financed the expansion of her home gym, proud of her ambition. Telling him would detonate his life, and my stomach turned at the thought. Morgan's voice was steady. He has a right to know, Ariel. He deserves the truth. I agreed. I sent him a message asking to meet the next morning about something important regarding Naomi and Derek. He replied almost immediately. We chose a small coffee shop halfway between Morgan's neighborhood and his office. I arrived early, palms damp. He walked in with a worried crease between his eyebrows and asked if Naomi was all right. Even then, his first instinct was to care for her. Please sit, I said, and when the coffees arrived, I told him plainly. 4 months, Naomi and Derek have been having an affair. I walked in on them 2 nights ago. He stared at me in a stunned silence, then shook his head. No, that cannot be right. I slid the manila envelope across the table, the printed screenshots and the photos from my phone. He opened it like it might bite him. As he read, confusion melted into horror, then hardened into something else. The messages included their mockery of him, their planning for the moments he thought she was at yoga or training sessions. He saw the timestamps, the coordination, the total disregard. He reached the photos and flinched like he had been struck. He whispered, all those nights she said she was working late, and could not finish. He stood slowly, the envelope gripped tight. Thank you for telling me. He left his coffee untouched and walked out with the determined gait of a man who had just chosen a path. The story spread quickly through our small Richmond community. Derek called my mother, crying to her about a fight and his worry for me. She called in a panic. Honey, what is going on? Derek says. I stopped her gently but firmly. Mom, he is lying. I am safe. I am with Morgan. I will explain later. Please do not believe a word he says. My father's silence on the second line felt like a storm gathering strength. The next morning, Naomi's daily 10 o'clock live workout on her social media account went very differently. My phone buzzed with a link from a friend. The video was shaky, filmed by Lawrence. Naomi was on the floor of her expensive home gym, sobbing, surrounded by suitcases and boxes of designer clothes. Lawrence's voice was flat. Tell them. She confessed the affair on the live stream, and he held the printed screenshots to the camera, page by page. This is who she really is, he said once, voice breaking. Then, for an ending that echoed like a gavel, he threw a kettlebell into the full-length mirror. Glass shattered. The screen went black. People screen recorded the stream. It hit the neighborhood groups and local feeds within an hour. The comments were a tidal wave, judgment, shock, snake emojis multiplying. Naomi deleted her account by afternoon. She lost nearly everything in 10 minutes, her marriage, her home, her reputation, and her income. A part of me felt the dark justice of symmetry. She helped shatter my life. She watched hers collapse in the same brutal light. Derek tried his own damage control that evening with a public statement about people making mistakes when they are lost, hinting that I had been emotionally distant. It was a masterpiece of non-apology. I sat on Morgan's couch and laughed. He thinks this is control, Morgan said, smiling with no humor. He has no idea what it looks like when a grown woman sets a boundary he cannot spin. I had an answer to his performance. Footage from our engagement party at a winery outside Charlottesville. Morgan had recorded Derek's tear-bright speech about how I was his rock and how he would spend his life proving he deserved my love. I paired those clips with the ugliest messages to Naomi from that same week. His jokes about my parents' generosity, his leering instructions about a black workout top she should wear, his plans for the day after my bridal shower. I edited a 3-minute montage set to a quiet piano track, alternating the speech with the screenshots timestamps like a metronome of hypocrisy. I uploaded it with an unlisted link and dropped it into the comments of his statement without a single word. The thread turned within minutes. Oh my goodness, someone wrote. Another. I was there that night. The video hopped from one private message to another. By morning, Derek had deleted his entire profile. It did not matter. The clip lived everywhere that mattered. He called from a blocked number that afternoon. I almost let it ring out, but curiosity won. He was crying, real, ragged tears. Please, Ariel, take it down. My boss saw it. My parents will not speak to me. You have destroyed me. I considered the echo of his words in our bedroom. What are you going to do? Cry. And felt a long, cool clarity. What are you going to do? I asked quietly. Cry. Then I ended the call. After that, silence took root. The consequences moved outward on their own. Derek worked at a financial firm where reputation is currency. Word reached corporate headquarters. He was placed on indefinite leave pending review, which everyone knows means the door is open and the floor is slanted. Naomi went dark and left town for a while, staying with her parents in North Carolina. Lawrence filed for divorce immediately. With what I had provided and what he had documented, his attorney aimed directly at the house and a substantial portion of their assets. Morgan handled my side of the disentanglement, sharp, orderly, efficient. I hired movers and carved my life into labeled boxes. In a single afternoon, the living room turned into a grid of cardboard and tape. I put a photo from a vacation in New Orleans into a trash bag and folded the Christmas sweater I had given Derek into a donation pile. Every object was a choice. Choosing myself felt like breathing. Mutual friends chose sides. Most sided with me. Visible proof has a way of clarifying loyalties. A few wanted to negotiate my boundaries for me. "Are you sure you want to throw everything away?" one asked. "People make mistakes. Couples do therapy." I answered without anger, only with truth. This was not a mistake. It was a months-long deception. I am not marrying a man who conspired with my best friend to betray me. That was the end of that conversation. Telling my parents was the hardest. I drove to their house and sat them down in the same living room where Derek had asked my father's blessing. I told them plainly. I did not show the video. Some images cannot be unseen. My mother cried, my father's jaw set. He stood and held me. "We are here," he said simply. "Whatever you need." In that embrace, I felt the foundation beneath everything that had been broken. Weeks passed. I moved into a quiet apartment across town. The nights were still and loud at once. I burned pasta while my mind drifted. I turned on the television and realized an hour later I had followed nothing. Healing was not a line. It was a spiral. During the day, work demanded focus. The promotion came through, and I welcomed the extra responsibility. At night, the shape of the bed felt unfamiliar and large. Grief took its time, and I let it. About a month after I moved out, I saw Derek in a coffee shop near my new place. He looked thinner, drawn, older around the eyes. He stood in line, spotted me, hesitated, then walked over. "Ariel," he said, voice rough. "Can I sit?" "I would rather you did not," I answered without raising my eyes from my laptop. He sat anyway. He stared at me. "You look good." I closed the computer and folded my hands. "I am busy." He swallowed. "I am sorry. What I did was unforgivable. I lost everything. Paige, Naomi, and I are not together. It was all for nothing." He searched my face for sympathy. I had none to offer. "That sounds like your problem," I said evenly. "You made your bed. We have nothing more to talk about." I stood, packed my bag, and left him at the table with his regret. Freedom settled, first in moments and then in mornings. I joined a hiking club and spent weekends on trails in Shenandoah, breathing deeply and letting trees and sky remind me of scale. I reconnected with friends I had let drift. Morgan and I had weekly dinners. She would not let me sink into self-pity and celebrated every small win. A good night's sleep, a well-delivered presentation, a day without the ache. 6 months after the breakup, on a bright Saturday, I met Sawyer on a trail. He is a landscape photographer, quiet, kind, his smile warm at the edges. Conversation felt easy, like cool water. We met for coffee the next week. I told him a condensed version of the truth early, not wanting to pretend I was less bruised than I was. He did not interrogate. He simply said, "I am sorry that happened to you. No one deserves that," and shifted the conversation toward the present. We took it slow. He left his phone face up, showed up when he said he would, and did not make me feel silly for needing reassurance. He earned trust by being consistent. One evening, music playing softly and vegetables on the cutting board, he looked at me and said, "I am glad that man broke your heart." I raised an eyebrow. He smiled, then grew serious. "If he had not, I never would have met you." The scars did not vanish, but in that moment, I realized they no longer hurt. I still heard things through Richmond's grapevine. Derek moved out of state and took a smaller job in another field. I heard he was dating casually. Naomi's divorce finalized. She moved back home for a time and started over as a receptionist at a dentist's office. Their grand affair imploded, not with fireworks but with attrition. I did not celebrate their misfortune. I did not mourn it either. Indifference is its own kind of closure. The practical pieces of disentanglement finished quietly. Papers were signed. Accounts were clean. The house was sold. Morgan slid the last folder across her kitchen table one evening and said, "That is the last of it." We ate takeout and talked about anything else: books, recipes, a trip we might take to the Outer Banks. The life I was building did not revolve around avoiding pain. It revolved around choosing joy. Every now and then, I think about the night I stood in the doorway and watched Derek's smirk slide across his face as he asked if I would cry. I think about the calm that filled me instead. People mistake silence for weakness. They mistake patience for passivity. They do not understand that restraint can be a plan. I did not throw things. I did not make a scene. I gathered proof, made calls, told the truth to the people who needed it, and walked away. The best part of rebuilding was choosing what to carry and what to leave. I kept the coffee mugs from a tiny shop in Charlottesville because I liked the way they warmed my hands in the morning. I replaced the linens. I painted a wall a shade of blue that looked like a lake in late summer. I learned the routes to the places I loved in my new neighborhood. The bookstore with sun through its windows in the afternoon, the diner that makes the best pancakes, the park where the river bends and slows. There is a photo in a drawer of me at the vineyard where the wedding would have been. In it, the vines are green and the sky is a soft silver. I almost threw it away, but I kept it as a reminder that I am allowed to want beautiful things. I want them still. I just want them with someone who does not ask me to abandon myself to have them. I do not believe in payback as a life plan. I believe in consequences. Derek and Naomi did not lose what they had because I took it. They lost it because they set a match to it and walked away laughing. All I did was open the windows and let the smoke show. Lawrence deserved the truth. My family deserved the truth. So did I. When people ask how I got through it, I say I made a list and stuck to it. Bank. Passwords. Emails. Boxes. Keys. I took one step, then another, and when I could not take a step, I rested. There is power in ordinary, steady action. There is power in not performing your pain for people who would use it against you. Sawyer and I are building something quiet and sturdy. It is not a grand declaration. It is a collection of days where promises are kept. He asks about my work and listens to the answer. I print one of his photos, a river at dusk, and hang it in the hallway. We plan a road trip to the Blue Ridge and argue, gently, about snacks for the drive. This is what I wanted all along. A life with laughter, respect, and an ease that does not hide anything behind a locked screen. The night after I left the coffee shop where Derek tried to apologize, I stood in my kitchen with the window open. The city sounds drifted in, tires on wet pavement, a train somewhere far away. I thought about that first motel room and the ceiling I stared at while the world fell in. If I could go back and talk to that version of me, I would tell her, "You are not breaking. You are becoming." They wanted to know what I would do. I did not cry. I did not scream. I rebuilt my life, piece by piece, into something stronger and truer than anything I could have had with them. That is the only revenge that matters. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.